guys, so once again, Saturday morning, welcome to another edition of The Breakfast Club. So I have a kind of weird tale to tell, and some might find it a little insignificant, and some might find some humor from it, but let me just share this with you. Now, I happen to really like incense. It's something that I grew up with. My father used to, burn some in the house. And I still distinctly remember, the smell of sandalwood or, frankincense and myrrh burning throughout the house. It's just a scent that I kind of equate with my growing up. And, it just is nice having some burning throughout the house. Since then, I've kind of gravitated toward, burning, candles. Because, sometimes the problem with incense, there are some health risks if you don't have a well-ventilated home. It's pretty much breathing in secondhand smoke, or if you're dealing with a really bad incense company, you got, some of the powders and stuff going into your lungs, and you don't really want that. But every now and then I still do burn it, as long as the place is well ventilated. And one of my favorite ones to burn is this stuff right here. I'm pretty sure you've seen this in, certain gas stations, or definitely some, new age shops or whatever. It's champa. Particularly the champa in the blue box. Champa itself is a well-known Indian incense and oil. It's a certain scent. Different companies have different versions, but the one that I tend to gravitate towards is the stuff in this blue box. So, here's the thing. I had run out of my last supply, and I decided that I was going to order another batch of this stuff. Now, normally I just go to a local store, grab a box, done with it. This time I'm like, online prices tend to be cheaper, and it gives me a chance to get more than I normally do. Since I like burning this stuff, it would be nice to get a nice big box. Let me see what I can find online. And thus began the saga. I just wanted a box of nog. That's all I wanted to do. Just get one of the well-known blue box and be done with it. So I go and look up on Amazon, and I notice that they're selling a 100 gram box, a 100 gram box for a pretty good price. I'm thinking, great. But one thing I noticed is that there were several different companies, different sellers all selling this stuff. Which isn't anything new. I mean, many times you'll find on Amazon different sellers selling the same thing at different prices. But the one thing I noticed is that one particular seller was selling the product, and it was 4 stars. A crap load of people reviewing it gave it 4. Another seller, and it was for 4.5, even though it was the same freaking thing. So that kind of confused me. I'm like, wait a second, it's the same product. Why are these guys selling it for, having it a slightly lower rating than the other one? Now, I'm sure some of you guys are already beginning to roll your eyes, because it's like, it's the same product. Who cares if, it's 4 stars against 4.5 stars. Who gives a damn? It's not that big a deal. Just buy the box. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that sort of thinking, but I tend to be kind of pedantic, and whenever I see differences like that, my mind goes, hey, what's going on? Is the seller shady? Is there a problem? What's going on? So I end up getting caught in those type of details, and that's exactly what happened here. I started looking up the reviews in the 4-star, version, wondering what's the problem, and that's when I started falling into the rabbit hole, because I see people accusing this one of being a counterfeit version. Wait a minute, counterfeit? Counterfeit nog? Well, I guess that makes sense. Today's global markets, you'll find counterfeits of quite a lot of things. Everything from electronics to swords. Yeah, you heard me right, counterfeit swords. There's actually a market for, one sword maker will make a particular type of blade, or, makes a particular design that, a lot of people really like, and sooner or later the forges that make cheaper versions throw those suckers out at a much lowered price, and usually with much lower quality, until they get pretty good at making it, and then you get this kind of midline price. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Something popular is going to get counterfeited. So then I started thinking, well, it kind of makes sense, considering that this is a very popular scent and a very popular brand, that people would try to counterfeit that and come up with ways of doing it. So then I started getting paranoid, and I'm like, okay, now I got to make sure to figure out how to find real nog. So then I go online and I start typing down like how to tell the difference between counterfeit and real. That's when I found out that this was going to get more complicated than I thought. Turns out that there's two companies selling this stuff with the blue box and the same company name and the same seal of approval on the box, but they're not counterfeit. They're allowed to do it. I don't want to I don't want to have to go through the whole history of this, because that's not the purpose of this video. But needless to say, after looking through many Reddit topics, Reddit articles on the topic, as well as going through a few legal documents, I was able to figure out that apparently there was a split between the family that originally... There's a family that, that runs the company. The company... I'm going to completely butcher this name, but it's... The name of the company that originally put this stuff out was called Srinivas Sugandhalaya. I'm just going to put the text on there. I apologize wholeheartedly for butchering that. But that's the name of the company. That's the original company that put this stuff out. And that in itself, there's a whole story, history behind it, But I don't want to get into that. Needless to say, the original founder, the father, died, and there's two brothers running it. One brother ran the main company. The other one ran the marketing department. And apparently these two brothers had a disagreement and went separate ways. But for some reason, the marketing company thought that they could still get away with selling their brand of this under the exact same name. And after some haggling and back and forth in the courts, it was pretty much determined that they could both get away with using the same name and putting the exact... they can... Same name, same company name, same box, same labels, all that. The only difference is that they have to change it from just the basic name that I already gave you of the company, and one ends with BNP LLP. So the original company... oh God. The original company has BNG LLP on the box, and the other one that was based on the marketing one just simply says the company without the B and G in there. Sometimes it'll just end with LLP. Other times it'll just simply be the company without any LLP on it. So that's supposedly how you can tell the difference between the two. And in generally, and I need to, I really need to harp on that general part. The B and G version is supposed to be the original company, and they do things the original way, and the quality control is still pretty good, so you'll end up pretty much with a product that smells the way you expect it to smell. While the marketing one, while they do overall still put out the same product, apparently the quality control is a little bit more shaky, so every now and then you might get a bad batch from them. That's the general consensus. But it could flip on you. You don't know. That's the nature with any business making a product. So I thought I was done with that. And I'm like, okay, fine, I will go with the B&G group. But apparently the marketing company every now and then was putting B&G LLP in the box originally before they had another dispute with that. So you may not, it may say B&G in the front, but it doesn't necessarily say it in the back. And if it doesn't say it in the back, then that means it might be in the... I just wanted a box of nog. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to buy a box of incense. I didn't want to have to do major research into legal disputes in court to find out which one was going to be the better one, or if I was going to get the right. I just wanted to make sure that the box I got was the stuff that I wanted to spend my money on. Obviously, I just decided to say hell with it and buy the damn box. And I can say that this is fine. The box I ended up with was not a dud. It burned the way I expected. The scent is fine. But it was just a box of incense. I went through all this hell just to buy a box of incense. 2 days of research, guys. To get a box of incense. Now, you can all say it's just my own stupid fault for having to spend all that time. There was no reason. I should have just bought the box and be done with it. It's just a box of incense, right? And I don't think you're wrong for thinking that. I think, yeah, it is kind of ridiculous to have to go through all this just to buy a box of incense. But here's the point that I'm trying to make. We tend to have to make these dumbass decisions when it comes to buying products anyway, don't we? Lately, it seems to me that simple, basic purchases are becoming more and more complicated to make. And I'm not necessarily just talking about, quality here, where you'll, when you're buying a car or something and you're not really too sure whether you're buying a good one from Ford or whether you're buying a good one from Cadillac or whatever. Like, it's just like, yeah, we're going to be comparing features and we're going to be comparing, consumer reports and things like that. And that in itself tends to take a lot of research. But even on mundane things such as getting a bottle of water, you may find yourself having to wonder whether you're making the right decision. You're thirsty, you walk into a store, you really want to get a bottle of water, but then you notice that all the ones in there are the ones that are supplied by Nestle, and if you've been paying attention to the news any time during last year or the year before, you know that Nestle and water, there's there's a problem there. We got some controversy going on there when it comes to Nestle and water. So because of your politics, you may not want to buy that bottle. But then you have to start researching, okay, which companies aren't being assholes when it comes to getting water. And then you realize that a lot of companies pretty much are assholes when it comes to water. The whole water industry is effed up. And then you start thinking, maybe I should have brought my own water instead. And then see what I mean? Just simple stuff. That you think that you should just be able to just go over and hand over your cash and pick up your product can sometimes turn into a nightmare once you start putting politics involved or legal disputes get involved and all that. And it usually all ends up because somebody in some business somewhere decides that they have to be a greedy asshole about it all. I'm not really too sure whether this video should just be taken as a really dumb anecdote and go right ahead and take that as you will. If you're able to just get amusement out of this and all you're doing is just pointing at the screen going, what an idiot. Hey, if that entertained you this morning, I'm fine with that. But I do think that it's kind of crazy to me how something that should just be a simple transaction has gotten extremely complicated, whether it be because you're trying to compare features or whether it be because of your ideology or even, political stuff, or it's just plain that the company is being a jerk and you may not want to engage in their, you don't want to give them money because they're being jerks, which then makes your decision even more complicated. And this has gone on with everything, from really important purchases to even just buying video games. You got people right now willing to boycott games from certain companies because they don't appreciate how those companies, conduct their business. And this is just for your entertainment. It's not necessarily something I have a straight up answer for. It's just a new complication that I'm just finding kind of strange in this daily life that we happen to, live. This is the daily life that we go through. Simple things, they should be simple, but they get complicated because people have to make them complicated for rather stupid reasons. And I guess, yeah, you could say that, well, the consumer itself is making things complicated because all they have to do is just buy the damn product and be done with it. But when your ideology gets in the way or your own ethics get in the way, you start thinking, well, if I'm doing this, I'm supporting something that I don't like. Or I'm not really too sure if I'm making the right decision by buying this. What if there's a better option? Yeah, it gets more and more complicated and you can't help it. You can't help your own particular ideology. You can't help follow your own particular ethics. Is there a solution? I don't know. But it is frustrating and I guess somewhat amusing. So. Make of this what you will. This is supposed to be a discussion site. So whatever you guys get out of this is what you get out of it. But I hope you get something positive out of it, even if it's just a chuckle and a laugh. So, hope you guys got something out of it, and I'll catch you guys later.